All right, welcome into episode 9 of Rhymer on the Road. That is Ann. I am Scott. As we do each and every time, I want to thank you for following along on this epic journey of ours for a year across the country, trying to figure all of this out in an RV. We have an announcement of where we're headed next. That's coming in just a second. And then, of course, we've got a review of the area where we were on the New Hampshire and Massachusetts border,
right?
Which we hit a bunch of different things. That's coming up in this episode. So a lot to get to. But before we do any of that, I wanted to mention this is kind of a bittersweet day for two reasons. Number one, as we record this, we just took Megan, our youngest daughter, back to Boston. Right. She's been with us here at Old Orchard Beach in Maine, but now she's headed back to Kansas City. But
she is.
That will be episode 10, but we had a nice stay with her. It was quick.
Yeah, it was quick, but it was it's a nice change of pace to have somebody here with us. It wasn't just the two of us.
Yeah.
Not that we haven't been enjoying that, but it was nice to be able to, share the experience with our daughter.
Yeah, she had never been here, as we had not. So it was new for all of us. I slept out on the couch. That'll be part of episode 10, I'm sure. The second thing is you've got your shawl shirt on, I see, which is my family, the side of my family. But this is the first real big thing we're missing by taking this adventure. Because they're all down in Garden City of South Carolina today.
Yeah, and we're not there. And it's sad, but, you only live life once, and sometimes you got to do the hard things and give up some stuff so that you can experience all that we have and plan to experience over the next year.
Yep, we're following them along social media and live streaming and Snapchat and all the ways that people communicate.
They're keeping us updated.
Yeah, and I think they had a little tropical depression come through there on Saturday, but I think that's clearing out. So it looks like they have a great week. So Shaw's, we're with you in spirit if we're not with you in person. Before we get to episode 9 and all the fun we had in that area of New Hampshire and Massachusetts, where are we going next that we need some feedback on?
We are going to the BarHarbor area of Maine and Acadia National Park.
Acadia National Park. I think both of us have had this one kind of on our radar. Not that we've had the others off our radar. All of it's been great, but I think there's been something about getting to Acadia that has kind of stuck with me. And so we want your suggestions. We're going in prime time. Of course, it'll be early to mid-July. So give us your suggestions on Facebook and the responses on Instagram, Rhymer on the Road, and also, of course, here at YouTube. So Acadia's next, but for now, a review of what I would just call Hampton Falls area of Massachusetts, but it's really the northern border of Massachusetts and the southern border of New Hampshire. Here goes. Okay. All right, Leo, calm down. So day tripping into Salem and got about, 3 miles or so from Salem, and tire warnings going off on the truck, low tire. The name of his Beverly Tire Company, right? We were just right around the corner from them, pulled in. They immediately helped us, plugged it. We were in and out of there in 20 minutes maybe, and got to use the restroom. So I guess it's our first truck malfunction, but ran over a nail or something somewhere. So thankfully, all's well. We're now in Salem and looking forward to enjoying the day.
And luckily, we were not pulling Allie.
Very good point.
Next, we hit up Salem, Massachusetts, often called the Witch City. It's a historical coastal city, and it is best known for its significant role in the infamous Salem witch trials of 1692. The best way to explore is on a trolley. So we went with Salem Trolley, hour-long trolley around the city. Gave us a good overview. And helped us decide what we wanted to do further. It was dog friendly, so Leo got to go with us. It was a beautiful day, and so it was a great way to see Salem. we're not big into the witches and stuff, but it ended up being a very quaint, walkable city. During the trolley ride, we saw a East Regiment Beer Company that looked interesting, and it had a great patio, covered patio, and so we ended up deciding to go there. And they had great beer. They have I think it's a separate thing, but Crazy Good Kitchen is the food, so we shared a meal.
Okay, here in, I guess it's Northampton, Massachusetts. We're actually on the literal border of Massachusetts and New Hampshire here in our campground, Tuxbury Farms. I'll turn around and it's kind of the open area behind us. But I did want to take a moment to talk about this campsite. You can see Allie behind us here. And this is the typical front side of a campground, right? I mean, you see my truck there. We've kind of got it pulled in here. But what's really cool about this this campsite is it's massive. This is just a huge campsite. So let's take a quick tour of it. I'm going to flip around here where you guys can follow along with me. Okay, so again, there's the truck, and this is the typical front side of our a campsite. We got a little tiny home beside us here instead of an RV. Really kind of nice, very cute. You can see it has this picnic table. It's got ample room here. This is where I've been grilling every morning, and of course there's Allie all set up. But here's what's really cool about this particular site. As I walk around, you will see we have a backside that's almost bigger than the front side. There's the Starlink. That'll be a segment that we may do in a future episode talking about it. And you can see I've got the fire going back here. So we've got this whole other area here in the back, which you typically don't use when you're camping. But because it's so large and because it has such a great view of the lake, we kind of set our fire up back here. And as you can see, we've got just a great view of Tuxbury Pond. I'll walk down here and you can see folks bring their canoes and kayaks and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the sun setting here on the border of Massachusetts and New Hampshire. And there you go. That's a view from down by the water. So just a very unique campsite. It gives us some flexibility. There's nobody behind us here. There is an RV kind of off to the side here, but we have this whole area that's open. It's kind of a walkway, I think, down to the lake. And so it's just opened enough to where we now have the availability to kind of use the back end of it. And that's what I've done to kind of give us the ultimate privacy. And there's our fire getting going. So there you go. Tuxbury Pond campground. Okay, we just finished up Halibut Point State Park, which is south of where we're staying a little bit, on the neck out towards Rockport and Gloucester. Kind of a surprise to me, to be honest with you. I had not really read up on it and had done her homework as usual. Parking was $20. That's the only negative, I guess, of the whole thing.
For out of state, which is what we are.
That's right. So that was a little pricey for state park, but again, we're out of state. But the views are just amazing. I think this is a must-do. The hike was relatively easy. Had a little bit of a change of elevation, but I think most people could handle it, don't you?
Yeah, and very well manicured,
Yeah.
either rock. There were a couple points where it was a little dirt point, but it was very easy. Now, there were some areas that had some rock, like boulders, rocks, that you're scurrying over, but not bad.
Yeah, I think, very moderate hike. I mean, I think would be the best way to describe it. And you don't even have to go into some of the more difficult areas. You could stay on the main trail and get the views and still enjoy it. So a great stop here. We're going to head into Rockport and check that out and maybe grab a little food here in just a minute. Rockport, Massachusetts is a picturesque seaside town at the tip of the Cape Ann Peninsula. It's situated approximately 40 miles northeast of Boston and borders Gloucester to its west, while being surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean on all other sides. Initially part of Gloucester, Rockport was incorporated in 1840. Notably, Rockport was a dry town for many years, with alcohol sales only recently becoming available in stores.
We just got our dinner from Flair Cuisine Harborside. I've already had the clam chowder, which was excellent. And then I've got some lobster ravioli, some mixed vegetables. Scott got some coconut shrimp and some beans and rice. It's sort of a Caribbean infusion.
And nice view. Okay, so Anne's out and about shopping, getting resupplied in some areas. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to point out something that I've noticed in our first 3 weeks or so of traveling. And that is some of the hidden gems that you run across, sometimes when you're not looking for them, but sometimes you may be looking for them and you can find them if you indeed will look for them. And so let me give you an example. When you are in a location, and let's just use Newport, Rhode Island, because that was a recent place we'd been. Obviously, the things that you Google or you get on travel websites or TikTok or whatever the things are that you do to do your research on what you want to do when you're in an area, there's going to be a list of 5, 6, 7, 8 things, and they're going to be universal. And yes, you do need to do those. So, for instance, at Newport, the cliff walk was a great example. That came up number 1 or number 2 in just about everything you researched. And yes, it was most certainly worth it. It met every expectation. But one of the cool things we're finding out is that if you're going to one of those really cool destinations from your campground, sometimes there are things in between, whether they're on the roads that you travel or you may have to detour slightly to get to, that are not sexy in terms of everybody talks about them online and on your travel websites, but they can be really cool places to go. Hidden gems is probably the best way to describe them. So I wanted to point out 2 that we had in the area that we are here this week on the border of Massachusetts and New Hampshire. The Harvey Reservation and Maudslay, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Maudslay State Park are 2 things that don't really show up on a lot of the things that you do research on, but they happen to be in the area of where we were, either from our base camp or when we were going to some of the sexy things that you have to do when you're in those areas. And we found both of these places to be really cool. So here's a little look inside of both of those. And I would encourage you to seek out these types of opportunities when you're out traveling.
Of course, we get into Portsmouth and we park our car and walk with Leo, and it's a really cute downtown area.
Another lunch, Portsmouth. Little bag lunch that we had. Found a nice little overhang here on this bridge to look out over the water.
So when we went to visit Portsmouth, we decided to take the scenic route to go up there, and we drove up the coast and got to see the beaches, the beautiful homes, the rocky areas, the beach towns. When we did it, it was overcast, foggy. I mean, it was very sunny at our campsite, and then we get out to the beach and you were sunny, and then you'd go up a mile and it would be fogged in. But I give it to the people. They were out there in the fog with their umbrellas and beach attire and were making the most of it.
Okay, so that's a summary of all the things we did. It was jam-packed, no doubt about that. So as we do each and every episode, we kind of talk about the things that we really liked or that stood out to us about this area of our great country. So I'll start with you, Ann. What were your thoughts?
I mean, all of it was beautiful, different scenery than what we're used to. Still loved the coast in that area, the rocky, but then they had some sandy beaches in there too.
Yep.
Cute little beach towns, harbor towns, and then Salem. You know, everybody knows Salem, Massachusetts, with all the witch trials and what they've become famous for. It's actually a cute little town, and we didn't even do everything there, but definitely enjoyed it. And then I enjoyed some of the little state parks that we found. That, you know, off the beaten path, maybe not something that someone would have told us about, but we stumbled across them. And I mean, really, I think the one state park was like my favorite. That I think it was Halibut.
Halibut
was one of my favorite views. Just well kept, and would totally go back there again.
Yeah, Halibut was really great. It was good enough to where in episode 10 we went back. We're in the same general area when we had to go to Boston to pick up Megan to come up to the Portland, Maine area, which will be in episode 10. You went back and let Megan be a part of that.
We did.
So that was really cool.
Yeah. And then I think Rockport was one of my other...
That was going to be,
that was one of my other favorites. Just very quaint seaside town, very walkable, not very large. I mean, for the especially on the seaside. And we had a really good dinner there. Would go back to that restaurant as well.
Yeah, I've heard so much about Gloucester, and we'll talk about that in episode 10 because we actually swung through there with episode 10. But Rockport's kind of, I think, probably in most people's minds, it's like his little the second sister, cousin, whatever the terminology is. Yeah. But actually, from what we've seen of both, Rockport is a really hidden gem. I mean, it's not really hidden because it's very well known, but it was beautiful. It was small enough where it's easy to walk through, especially in the wharf area. And the views were great, and the shops are great, and of course we had a great dinner right on the water, as you saw. So Rockport certainly was a highlight. You mentioned Halibut. I also really liked the trolley in Salem. I think that's a kind of a good way to see a city, and if you do that first, you kind of get an idea of, ooh, I would like to go back to that area, or let's go check out that restaurant, or let's go do this.
Yes. Or it saves you time.
That's right.
Because you saw something and you're like, I don't need to go back there again.
That's the other point, because you can save yourself a lot of time in some of these towns by getting that first little glimpse of it. So I did enjoy the trolley in that as well. We stayed at Tuxberry Pond campground that literally sat on the border of Massachusetts and New Hampshire, depending on where you were in the campground.
We were in Massachusetts.
That's right. We were in Massachusetts for that. And we were kind of off in an area right up against Tuxbury Pond that was really secluded. I know you saw that in the video, but I think that was kind of added to the charm a little bit of that campground. It was kind of hard to get to in terms of the bumpiness of coming in and out of it. But once you got to our spot, it was a really good spot. And I think a great base point for a couple of little towns that we didn't really focus on in the video, but that were really cool. Newport, not Newburyport, and Ansbury, which is where we were. That was the closest little town to us.
Yeah.
Both just beautiful and cute little towns.
Yeah, they were. They were. No, and there again, Newburyport was just something when we were looking on the map for a day when we had some time. It was close by. I was impressed with its port.
Wharf
like
area.
like dark bricks and very consistent. It just looked different than some of the other ones we had done. So different look. And I wish we maybe could have, going back, I would go back and spend a little bit more time there.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the cost analysis of time analysis of where you're going and what you're doing, and you can only do so much. But both of those little towns were really cool. So I think our base point at Tuxbury Pond was a pretty good place to get to both south. We went south from there and north and east. So we kind of went all around in that area to hit all the things that we wanted to hit. So again, another great stay, another great part of this country. As we mentioned earlier, we're headed to Acadia and looking forward to that. We'll have an update on our time here in Old Orchard Beach, which is where we're recording this right now and where we celebrated Independence Day.
Yes.
And that's got a lot of great parts to it, too. So you have to tune into that for episode 10. But for now, it's Reimer on the Road on Instagram and keeps up with all of that. Got a lot of great pictures there. Yep. And, of course, you're here on YouTube. Reimer on the Road. Thanks for following us along. And as always, it's Reimer on the Road. Do it today.